Jiraiya is perhaps one of the most beloved characters in the Naruto fandom. For the most part, whenever he was shown in the series, there was hardly a dull moment. However, because he died a little over halfway through the series, sometimes I feel as if fans overlook just how powerful Jiraiya was. Sure, he wasn't a perfect sage like Naruto or Minato, but he was still incredibly powerful. In today's edition of the True Power series, I'm going to take a look at the true power of Jiraiya. Now, starting off, Jiraiya's skill with elemental ninjutsu was pretty damn good, given the fact that he was able to use 4 changes in chakra nature during the 54 years that he was alive. Jiraiya had mastery over wind release, water release, earth release, and fire release. This doesn't seem too crazy given the fact that he was the student of the 3rd Hokage, who at one point in the series was considered to be the strongest Hokage out of the first 4 Hokage. Though that's another video for another day, because I go back and forth on how powerful I think Prime Hiruzen is, but once again I'll save that for another video. Now, during the Second Great Ninja War, Jiraiya carved out a legend that arguably put his name in a more famous tier than the legendary 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village and even the famed Uchiha clan from Konoha. Even as he grew older, if we take the statements made in part 1 of Naruto at face value, Jiraiya could have stalemated the duo of Itachi and Kisame, and I know some people say, well, Itachi only said that because he was a spy, so again, it just depends on where you fall in that perspective. On another note, as another nod to his power, on 3 separate occasions, Jiraiya was offered the title of Hokage, and each time they turned it down, you have to look at it from this perspective. It was a great nod to how powerful he was as a ninja. In fact, if he hadn't been killed by Pain, the feudal lord of the Land of Fire was adamant of making him the 6th Hokage. For as powerful as the 6 paths of pain were, it was stated that Jiraiya, if he had figured out the weaknesses of the 6 paths sooner, that he would have taken down all 6 of the paths in a battle. This was later backed up by Obito, which is another nod to his power. For as skilled as Kakashi was, even Kakashi found himself being overwhelmed while fighting 2 of the 6 paths of pain and wondered how Jiraiya managed to fight so many of them at once. His chakra levels were absolutely absurdly high. Just summoning Gamabunto alone requires an enormous chakra pool, and an even larger chakra pool is required to even attempt to learn Sage Mode. With a mere tap of his finger, with chakra packed into it, he was able to send Naruto flying several dozens of meters away with utter ease. Though this is anime only, Jiraiya physically is also pretty damn strong as well, being shown as being able to casually lift up a boulder and throw it through the air with utter ease. His durability is also something that is really impressive when we take a full look at it. Jiraiya took a full-on hit from Might Guy while being hit from his blind spot when Guy used his dynamic entry. Jiraiya is also shown being able to take on full-on attacks from giant summoning creatures and still being able to fight to full capacity afterwards, which is another testament to his durability. Taking hits from a fully enraged Tsunade and Four Tails Naruto was also an impressive feat, though some people do downplay what happened with Four Tails Naruto, but that's something I can cover later on. As far as his power, if we go by Naruto Data Book 3, it is implicitly stated that once Jiraiya enters into his imperfect sage mode, he's now capable of destroying mountains. When it comes to Jiraiya, he was able to even make his hair being turned into a weapon, as shown with this Raging Lion Mane's jutsu. Jiraiya uses his chakra to speed up the metabolism of his body and forces his hair to grow even longer. He then sends chakra into the hair to harden it to the point where it matches metal steel. Then he bundles the hair together to make it even harder, and he uses it to pierce his enemy. His Ultra Big Ball Rasengan is an even more powerful version of the Big Ball Rasengan, and Jiraiya can combine this with his Senjutsu, and it adds even more punch to it. This is the very same attack that when Jiraiya used it in Sage Mode and he attempted to take down one of the 6 paths of pain. This attack in Naruto Data Book 3 was stated to be strong enough to destroy a mountain. His Frog Conversion Jutsu allows Jiraiya to turn his enemy into a frog by touching their forehead. While it's only a C-rank jutsu, it proved to be an effective jutsu in the hands of Jiraiya when he would use this for his interrogation methods. Now, my personal favorite jutsu that Jiraiya has is his Transparency Jutsu, because it allows him to become completely invisible to sneak up on his enemies, which is really badass when you think about it. But in typical Jiraiya fashion, Jiraiya only used this jutsu to spy on women when they were bathing, and that's that's just something you can totally picture Jiraiya doing when he's weaving the hand signs for his ninja boner no jutsu and spying on some unsuspecting woman in the hot springs. I mean, I can picture Jiraiya perving out. Now, the Toad Oil Bullet Jutsu is used when Jiraiya focuses chakra and turns into a huge mass of oil that erupts from his mouth. Once he's caught by this attack, the movements of his target is then slowed down, but that's all the time Jiraiya needs to follow it up with a fire style jutsu to burn his enemy to ashes. His manipulated shadow jutsu is used when Jiraiya molds his chakra and then infuses it into the shadow of his enemy. This briefly gives Jiraiya complete control over the enemy, and Jiraiya often uses this attack to make his person being used as a personal shield. Now, the drawback to this jutsu is that it only lasts for as long as Jiraiya can hold his breath. Now, his toad mouth trap summons the esophagus of a toad from Mount Miyaboku, and the sticky walls make it really difficult for a target to move freely and nearly impossible for him to cut through. While using this jutsu, Jiraiya can expand it in size, or he can retract it in order to trap his enemy. The only thing shown being powerful enough to penetrate these walls was Itachi's Amaterasu. His crushing toad stomach jutsu is one that's very similar to the one I just covered, but the key difference here is that Jiraiya doesn't summon anything, but instead he reverse summons his enemy into the digestive tract of a toad, which then crushes his enemy to death. His Sage Mode is used when Jiraiya taps into nature energy and gives his body an insane stat boost all across the board. However, because Jiraiya wasn't a perfect sage, he needed help achieving the power of Sage Mode. His nose will grow larger, his body will grow warts, and his teeth will become much sharper. He'd take on a lot of the appearances of a toad, which is why Jiraiya didn't like using this jutsu. His Sage Art Bath of the Boiling Oil jutsu is something that Jiraiya uses when he's using cooperation ninjutsu with Manpa Toad. One of them will focus on wind chakra, the other gathers a large volume of oil, and the last member of the trio shoots out a large fire style jutsu. In a mere instant, the temperature of this attack raises several thousands fold, and it's enough that the Inferno is meant to leave no traces of the target behind, completely incinerating them upon impact. His Rasengan, as we all know, is a spinning ball of compressed chakra, and according to Jiraiya and others, the Rasengan is more powerful than the Chidori. The benefit to using this jutsu is that it doesn't require hand seals to use, which makes it really handy to use in battle, but the level of difficulty required to learn this is absolutely insane. Needle Jizo turns Jiraiya's hair into sharp spikes that can be used as weapons. Jiraiya can either wrap it around his body in order to deflect attacks, which then impale whoever tries to attack him, or he can use it as a surprise attack on his enemy. If Jiraiya focuses enough of his chakra into his hair, when he shoots it off, Jiraiya can shoot out enough chakra needles in order to destroy boulders with the attack. When he adds Sage Chakra to it, Jiraiya can shoot off a nearly unlimited amount of these attacks at his enemy, and it moves fast enough that dodging it for most ninja isn't an option, and the only way to avoid this attack is to outright block it. His hiding in a toad jutsu allows Jiraiya to completely mask his chakra presence while inside of the toad due to the barrier that is placed inside of the stomach of the toad itself, which makes it perfect for scenarios like the one where he had to sneak into the Hidden Rain village. Being a master of the toad stage fighting style, Jiraiya is able to fight with enhanced speed, reflexes, and power. He doesn't have to directly hit his target in order to land a hit. Instead, the nature energy surrounds his attacks and can land hits on his target without actually coming into contact with them, and it should be noted that not even the Rinnegan can see these attacks coming. His fire style Toad Flame Bomb Jutsu is another overpowered cooperation ninjutsu where Jiraiya summons Gamabunta to shoot out a large quantity of toad oil, which Jiraiya then matches with an equal amount of fire style chakra. Then this combines with the toad oil and completely decimates whoever it hits. His fire release Fire Flame Bullet Jutsu starts out with oil being gathered in his mouth, and after he releases the oil from his mouth, it suddenly ignites as Jiraiya combines chakra into it. Jiraiya can either summon one giant bomb for the attack for his enemy, or he can reduce the amount of oil that he gathers to shoot out multiple attacks at once. Most importantly, this attack consumes far less chakra than some of his other jutsu. Jiraiya can also use the fire style Dragon Flame Jutsu, which shoots out an enormous volume of fire enhanced chakra at his enemy from his mouth, which completely surrounds them, and it targets one specific area for the enemy when it attacks. His Giant Fire Blast is an enhanced version of his Sage Chakra that he fires off an attack with that is powerful enough that it managed to incinerate one of Nagato's Rinnegan summonings upon impact. His Earth-style Dark Swamp Jutsu changes the ground beneath his target into mud, which then acts like a swamp pit and submerges the enemy beneath. Finally, his Probe Barrier allows Jiraiya to create a spear that allows him to expand in size and detect everything that's trapped within the barrier. Much like the attack that Kisame used on Killer Bee, Jiraiya can make the spear follow anyone that he's chasing after. So what did you guys think about Jiraiya's hidden power? Do you think that Jiraiya was more powerful than some people give him credit? Do you think that he was taking out the series too early? And as a final question to you guys, if Jiraiya would have lived, do you think he would have grown more powerful, or do you think he would have stayed where he's at? But as always guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day guys.